Welcome back trackside here as we get some good shots down of the Group S category. Huge amount of cars down on track here. I'm going to take a quick break from the commentary booth now and hand over to Phil Membry, a guy known locally and around the historic scene. Of course, his happy home is the Formula One Grand Prix, to talk all things historic. So I've absolutely talked him up and put him under a lot of pressure. And for the first time, it's going to be fantastic to introduce Sam Markowitz. We'll be on track in just a few moments with the Group S cars.
Thank you, Darren. Really good to be here. And with me is young Sam. Sam, you've got a little bit of an engine problem this weekend, and that's brought you to our commentary position. Welcome on board.
Thank you very much, Phil. I think I decided to prefer commentary this weekend other than racing. Unfortunately, had a engine issue before the weekend, and
it's a lot of fun. And watching the cars coming out there on a glorious day here at Winton Motor Raceway. Some of the cars that are going around, we've got all sorts of things. There's your Chevy Corvettes, of course, that unfortunately not doing so well, but on screen at the moment, an Alfa Romeo. How many others out there? What have we got?
I think the grid's about 40 cars this weekend, so it's going to be a very interesting race.
So as we come around looking for who's going to be on pole, our grid positions, when I grab my sheet.
It's Joe Di Bartolo in the fantastic looking blue Corvette, followed by Damien Meyer in his brother's car, actually.
Yeah, now the Myers machine, quite a rapid little machine.
It's always nice seeing those type of cars take up the challenge against the big horsepower of the Corvettes and the Porsches.
Yeah, the Corvette's got plenty of power, but fairly heavy sort of a car to manipulate around the corners. What sort of weight are these Corvettes running at?
Most of the Corvettes are about 1,400 to 1,600 kilos, so it's a lot to pull up in the into a corner.
Yeah. Nice long wheelbase, so they should be nice and stable in the higher speed corners. Watching the guys come around now to the starting grid position. Not sure that our timing screen is reflecting exactly what we're looking at out on track. I'm sure that will be sorted out shortly. So Meyer from Di Bartolo in 3 is Webster. Barber in 4. Wallstab in 5. Harrison in position 6. Ross Jackson in the De Tomaso Pantera in 7. Warren Hortz in 8. David Barker in 9, and Hung Do in position 10. All the cars ready on the start line now. The engines are raised. Tension building here. Just waiting for the green light to go. And underway. Glorious start. Ooh, the little bit of jiggle and jabble at the start there. Seeing the Porsche come into second spot, managing to have that grip off the start line.
The Corvette's got
away well, streaming through there.
Usually the Porsches are quite good at starting, and the Corvettes managed to hold them off into the first few corners.
There we go, watching them through the sweeper now. The Corvette, Porsche and the Sprite. What can the Sprite do around the tight wiggly bits down here? Around the big gum tree. Not able to do much there at this point. Let's throw a handkerchief over the first three guys. De Botello opens up the taps on the Chevy.
On the straights, they're difficult to catch.
Yeah, they're not going to catch him in a straight line, but boy, they gather him up into the corners as they power on down the back straight in the new section of this track here at Winton on the extension. We call it the new, or I call it the new section because for me it is, but for somebody like you, Sam, it's probably always been there.
Yeah, correct. I think ever since I was a kid, it's always been like that.
Meyer there all over the back of the Porsche. Not able to do anything in a straight line, but that little car is so very, very nimble.
You got Tom Wallstab and being chased by the yellow Pantera of Ross Jackson. The Corvette's managing a slight lead at the front.
The old turn one. Currently turn 3 into 4. Heads off for the sweeper. But the Chevy powering along really well. Standing lap time there for De Botello of a 5. Well, that can't be right. Wasn't a 5-minute lap time.
That's a walking pace around here.
I don't think he'd be too happy if it was a 5-minute lap time, and he certainly wouldn't be in the lead of this group of cars.
I think he's trying to get his lap record because his qualifying pace was on song this morning. He's keeping Webster at bay for now, and it seems like Meyer's dropped off.
Yeah, he's not able to keep up today. Sometimes he's the little one at the front and everybody else is chasing. Interesting to see what happens in this race as it progresses on. We've got 15 laps if I remember correctly. So we've got plenty of time for him to wear them down as the brakes and suspension components probably get a little bit soggy in the heavier cars. These little cars can come back into their own.
I think he must have had an off because he's outside the top 10 at the moment. So it's the two Porsches trying to catch the big Corvette. There he is here in 9th position, trying to make up some places.
Nice and tight there between 3 other cars. The little MG's working really hard, heading towards the sweeper there now. Oh, spinner. And that's another of the sprites, a little bug eye sprite. Had a little bit of an oopsie daisy.
A bit too aggressive under brakes. Meyer's gotten past those 2 other midgets.
Gregory Punster in the little silver machine that had that spin.
The great thing about Group S, Phil, is that there's always battles to watch everywhere throughout the field.
Yeah, there's a lot of variation in capabilities of the cars, from front engine to rear engine, big and little.
The 2 Porsches are trying to keep Joe honest up the front.
De Botello going through again. There he goes around turn 3, heading for 4. Fastest lap for him so far is a 1:37.82.
It'll be interesting to see how the big Corvette's brakes last over this long 15-lap race. Alex Webster right on his tail heading into the...
So how many laps, Sam, do you think they get in the Corvettes before those brakes start to become a bit spongy?
Oh, it could be 4 or 5 laps sometimes.
4 or 5 laps. So
I think after
a little bit to go before that might start and play an aspect in this.
Yeah, Alex Webster's definitely keeping him honest. He's going to be there waiting.
And of course they're going to catch up to some of the slower runners as well, so traffic may play a part in the circumstances towards the end of this event.
Yeah, with such a large field, Phil, they get spread out very quickly. Doug Barber in 3rd position, trying to hang on to the leaders.
Yeah, that was just heading past Gregory Prunster in the bug-eye sprite that had the spin earlier, so he's already lapped. Good old Datsun's getting around out there too, the 240 and 240Zs. Great sports car from back in the day. Here we go, Botello still out in the lead. Works his way around the old gum tree.
There's Damien Meyer working his way back up to 6th position now.
And I see the Tomaso Pantera there going through as well. Beautiful looking car.
Yeah, the long straights of Winton definitely suit the horsepower.
Absolutely.
It is a really good track though. It caters for all types of cars with the short stuff, the long straights, some long corners as well.
Yeah, you don't get much of a chance to catch a nap down the straights here. They're long enough to stretch your legs if you've got the long legs, but you've covered one end of the straight to the other in a fairly quick time. So what sort of speeds are you getting up to around here, Sam, in the Chevy when you're behind the wheel?
You probably get to around that 200 mark, just over 200 kilometres an hour. I think Phillip Island's the fastest circuit on the calendar for us. Getting up to that 240, 250.
Yeah.
Which is pretty scary when you're trying to stop these large machines. Joe Di Bartolo is doing a fine job at the front, holding
great
off
job out there in the lead as he wanders around the old gum tree yet again. Still in the lead, being chased by Webster and Barbara. Whilst they back a little. Rowan Hodges being passed there, and the lots of trouble, usually serious. I had to get that in. I've got a mate that's got a Lotus Elan. Always give you a bit of a stir.
There's always something with old cars.
As they quite a gaggle of cars there heading through the left-hander onto the new section.
James
overtaking
Calvert Jones started from the back of the grid after some technical difficulties this morning. He's doing quite nicely there.
Yeah, Donald Bartley there in another of the Austin Healey sprites being about to be gobbled up by a Porsche.
From starting last, he's made his way up to 10th. And I think now 8th, which is a great recovery drive from James.
Big move on the inside there by the Porsche into turn 1. Always got to be careful when you come down the inside of someone into a corner like that when there's a great speed difference that they don't turn down in on top of you. But Di Bartolo now still well out in front. Got just over 2 second lead.
Yeah, he's handling the car quite nicely. Some Porsches and Alphas going added into turn 1.
Some glorious cars out there, Sam, and really good to see them heading around. You're saying you've got some gearbox troubles in one of the cars?
Yeah, unfortunately, Dave Baker in his convertible Corvette had a gearbox issue this morning. So we're not a good representation from the Corvette team over the weekend. But Joe Di Bartolo's doing a great job out front.
There's our little bug eye again, George Punster. Gregory Punster, sorry, out lonely as he is, about to be gobbled up the back straight.
Yeah, Richard East in
number 9. That's Richard East.
Hugh Harrison in his Alphas doing a great job in 7th place. He's always quite quick around this circuit. And yeah, James Calvert-Jones is already on the back of him, doing a fantastic drive.
Yeah, we should mention Aussie Soils and Cryo Cycle, Cave Hill Engines and FS Spaganolo and Co. for sponsoring or being parts of the sponsors of the overall event. Equity One, of course, being our major sponsor. Huge thank you to Equity One for all that they are doing for the event. Bit of a shout out to all of the volunteers that do so much behind the scenes, from flag points to stewards and scrutineers and all sorts of people out there doing things for the love of the sport, as we just watch a Porsche make mincemeat out of an Alpha. The Alpha seems to have slowed a little.
Now we're getting the Porsches coming through the back traffic. But no, you're right, a real shout out to all the volunteers over the weekend, because these events don't run without them.
Douglas Barbara there in car number 911.
Tammy Hotz driving the MG, also doing a great job this weekend.
Nice and tidy through the corner there, keeping the car nice and straight. No flamboyant driving styles out there at the moment. It's keeping it all straight and nice and tidy. Everybody keeping a good safe line as they head on around the track.
The two Porsches are starting to close the gap on the Corvette.
Yeah, Di Bartolo certainly starts to be a little bit of a lessening of the gap. It's down to about 1 second back to Webster last time around.
Damien Meyer back up to 4th position. And then Tom Wallstab in the 928 coming around turn 1. There's always some great looking cars here in Group S.
We must be coming fairly close to the end of this event, I think. 6 laps remaining. Di Bartolo getting a little bit sideways coming through that right-handed corner under the old back straight. Around the left-hander, he comes onto the extension. Right foot to the floor, and bye-bye Toto, see you later. It's down the straight it goes. Big Chevy. Plenty of power under the bonnet, and it seems to apply it quite well to the track.
A few back markers here.
I remember Warren Henderson from Geelong many years ago used to run a Chevy Corvette, and sitting in the car, I don't know how he raced it because it was a very difficult car to see out of. How do you find it, Sam? You're a bit taller than me, so you probably sit up a little higher in the car.
Yeah, it's I find it very, very easy. I've also driven a couple Porsches in my time as well, and I definitely prefer the bigger car. The left-hand drive also makes it a bit interesting too.
Yeah, that's got to muck up your gear change if you've only ever driven from the right-hand seat.
Yeah, I think it takes about a couple laps to get used to, and then it's like second nature.
I see Joe's been able to put that, pull another extra second on. He's 2.2 seconds ahead in the last time around, so from Webster.
Yeah, he's just done a 1:36.6 on that last lap, which is 0.2 off his lap record. So I think he's gunning for another accolade.
Keeping it really smooth. Apply the power smoothly and make sure you've got it all the way to the floor. But jump onto the brakes, roll the car into the corner and out. Datsuns, Lotuses, Porsches. How good is it to be able to see all of this happening right here in front of us?
Yeah, the Group S field's got something for everyone, and it's really good to see all these different battles.
Yeah, Hundo, they're just going through underneath Rowan Hodges in the Lotus Elan. Joe Di Bertello back out in front, round the big gum tree.
4 laps to go. That's Tim Linus in the Alfa Romeo. First time driving it for him this weekend. He's doing a great job for a debut. Normally in a 928 Porsche.
Okay.
So I think he's missing a bit of horsepower, but he's out there, which is great to see.
Absolutely. And the little Alphas, well, that's not a car, that's an Alfa Romeo, I guess was the old advert from years ago. Beautiful little car, and they're pretty well known for their handling. Down the front straight, around turn 1 and 2.
Lots of traffic for the leaders, getting held up into turn 1. John Geist in the open top Datsuns, also a very quick car around here.
Rowan Hodges there just steps to the left and makes room for Joe Di Bertello as he heads on into the sweeper. Down around the inside now, he's got to go around the outside of the Datsun. Seems to manage that okay. Down around the wobbly bits, around the old gum tree. Onto that tight corner onto the back straight. What gear would you be coming through there?
He'll be in second there, and then third, and then back down to second for the tight left-hander. And then, as you said before, foot flat to the floor, trying to get as much horsepower out of that car as possible.
Car 52, the beautiful little Alfa Romeo there, heading around on our screen. And the checkered flag is out and waved, and that would mean that Joe Di Patello has taken that race quite convincingly with a 2.8 second margin through to Webster.
Held off the Porsches quite nicely.
Barber and Meyer, sorry. Then Wallstab, Jackson. Looks like he will be next. Just waiting for, yes, that's popped up. Jones has gone through.
Great drive from Jones from the back of the grid.
Yeah, it's not easy to come through such a big field.
A lot of traffic.
One needs to be very careful when you're coming from the back of the field. But an interesting little race there. Aussie Soils, Cryo Cycle, FS Spagnolo and Co. and Cave Hill Engines. Thank you to them, and of course Equity One. The Tomaso Pantera, their beautiful car. Not very many of them around. Ross Jackson been campaigning that car for a long time, and always puts on a good show.
Without too much further ado, we welcome the Group S cars and invited to the track here. Darren Smith remaining, and on board we've got a guy that is just about to jump down the microphone with enthusiasm for Group S Racing. Phil Membry, a local guy that makes his way to the Winton Motor Raceway as often as he possibly can. Phil, welcome to Sunday of the 2024 Winton Festival of Speed.
Thank you, Darren. I don't know about jumping down the microphone, but I might talk down it a little bit.
I saw you jumping on the microphone yesterday.
Well, yeah, there was a little bit of frustration, perhaps. We don't let that happen too often.
We have got a massive field of Group S cars, and these things are... you know, if there's an aspirational field of race cars here, this is one of them, isn't it? When you look at through the field with the likes of Porsches and De Tomosas and all these other bits and pieces, the Healeys that are represented, and you can't really go past the silhouette of that number 2, can you? The Corvette.
Absolutely, and there's not one car out there that I wouldn't want to stick my backside into and go for a bit of a pedal around the track.
That Martini liveried Porsche there too as well. Wow, that is absolutely awesome. Love seeing those Porsches out there, and well, my jacket that I wore into the track today squarely says Martini Racing on it, so if you hear a little bit of barracking, if you hear a little bit of barracking for the 928, then you know, I won't shy away from it.
Well, we'll put you in that car later on. You can see if you can bring it through for a win, perhaps, Darren.
No, I wouldn't want to take it out of Tom's hands. Tom does a tremendous job wheeling the 928, big sports car, thoroughbred. Let's have a look at the grid sheet, Phil. The front row of the grid will be Joseph Di Bartoli in that Corvette, Alexander Webster in the Porsche, looking for big things from Alex, certainly. A guy that knows his way around all the racetracks around the country, but he does pedal this Porsche ever so hard. He's got a deficit of horsepower, that's for sure, to the Corvette, but the Porsche makes up for it with the big brakes, as they're synonymous for right throughout their range over the years.
Yeah, that's for sure. The brakes on those things are amazing as the car's now rolling around.
911 in position number 3. That leaves very little to the imagination. Car number 911 is Doug Barber to Damien Meyer. Tom Wallstab, we've already touched on him in the Martini Livy 928. Ross Jackson to James Calvert-Jones.
Good spot.
Hugh Harrison in the number 79 red Alfa Romeo. Hung Do in the number 6, Donald Bartley back to Warren Holtz. Richard East, Rob Beerson, John Floyd, Andre Brett, John Geist. And we go to James Ashley, Paul Hogan Not sure if it's the Paul Hogan of television fame.
I had a bit of a look at that double take and went, I'm sure it's not the same one.
Kent Brown to Ryan Koenig. Back to David Bagent out of New South Wales. Tamley Holtz also out of New South Wales. Dale Ashby over from SA. Tim Linus over from SA. Tony Antune, Nigel Catchlove, Rowan Hodges, Greg Perster, Philip John Budge, Brian Weston, Ryan Bailey, Andrew Gibson, Peter Kaiser, Stephanos Constantino and David Baker to Peter Axford, and that is a 36 field of Group S cars, and we are underway. And have a look at Alex's start in the Porsche.
Yeah,
sweeps across the front of the Corvette and takes it into turn one. That's what he had to do.
Yeah.
He absolutely had to command this race right from the front. The 911 by Douglas Barber, he wants in on this as well, but here comes the Di Tomaso as well.
Yeah, they're as they lead down into turn three. Further back in the field, we've got a little bit of a challenge there coming from one of the sprites, and the TR6.
This is the blend, isn't it, of this sort of racing when you get to tracks like Winton, the great leveller. If you can get the power down and you've only got 100 horsepower and the guy with 600 horsepower can't get it down, you'll find that these little midgets and the Austin Healey sprites and MG midgets and bits and pieces like that can get the job done very, very nicely indeed. A couple of alphas in there as well. They have got their standalone race right throughout this weekend as well. But what a terrific start. Alex Webster, super start. Really had the eyes for the lights there. Boom, clutch take up and just absolutely drove it away. No wheel spin. The Corvette by nature will sneak a little bit of wheel spin in no matter how good you are at modulating the clutch.
Yeah, and watching the guys going down around through the twiddly bits there, I see the Lotus of Rowan Hodges well back in the field, but that's not a normal place for Lotus in motor racing over the years. They've got a great name. As we zoom in on car 98, the Alpha heading up the back straight. Great looking shot on our screen.
That's James Ashby, the Alfa Romeo 2000 GTV. That sort of two-door coupe synonymous here. The lead has changed now. Alex has surrendered to the horsepower of the Joseph Di Bertoli Corvette, car number 2.
Well, once he gets in front, he's going to be a very difficult man to chase down. He's
proved it yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, he ran away with it yesterday. Well, I shouldn't say ran away with it. He had to work for it. But look at the little Austin Healey sprite of Meyer there. It is just niggling away at the back of the Porsche as they head on into the sweeper. Working really, really hard, coming around through there. Di Bertoli through the dog leg and heading down to the old tank corner. Meyer trying to come down the inside of the Porsche. That's not going to work for him. The door was closed on him.
Race 2 at this event last year was taken out by Porsche Doug Barber, who is currently sitting back there in third place in car number 911, and it was over Mickey Pielat, also in the 911, and the MG midget of Simon Meyer. We're watching Simon getting worked over at the moment, the Telbix proprietary limited car, and then it is to Carnaby Racing was Andrew Whiteside, but was Ray Nuckwitz was the first of the Corvettes in this race last year, coming home in 5th place. So at the moment, Joseph Di Bertoli are waving that flag.
And I see your 928 there coming onto the back straight, just gone a little out of screen.
Tom Allstep doing a brilliant job, representing well, and he's not sure, does he slam it up the inside of one of the other Stuttgart Flyers there in car number 40, James Calvert-Jones? No.
James Calvert-Jones just got a little bit of extra grunt out of the corner there and pulled the gap on him.
Proves that Porsche could do it either way, didn't it? Rear drive, rear engine, put the engine at the front, drive it down through a rear transaxle and rear drive there as well. So the ultimate in sporting cars, that's for sure. And here's this great battle. Look at this. This is just how it's done.
Look at Meyer, how close he gets. Carrying that number 1 again, we might notice, on the smallest car out there, 1310 cc's, and just powering on, giving the Porsche a very hard time as they head up into the sweeper. Di Bertoli now back, still out in front. Got a comfortable little zone there. Meyer trying to work on the back of the Porsche.
Ooh, we've got one of the cars pulled up there. Looks like, I'm not sure what that was, but it looked like a
Just out
Triumph.
of shot, yeah.
Just watching the line there that Alex Webster was taking, coming out of the sweeper through the little flip-flop, and just sliding inside. All intents and purposes, it's a go-kart sitting there, isn't it? The
Absolutely.
listed as the MG Tigger Midget, 1970, and as you so accurately touched on, Phil, 1310cc.
Yeah.
Takes a lot away from the 3 litre in front of it, doesn't it?
That's right. It's probably carrying less than half the weight of the other cars, but it's still only 1310cc's. It's an amazing option that car is putting on track.
Actually, I've got to backtrack there. The 911 Carrera 3 of Doug Barber is 2,994. It's not a 3 litre.
So that's very close.
It's very close. We're on the margins. We're operating right on the bubble there. Let's hope it doesn't burst. But have a look at this now. This Corvette is driving away. Great shot we saw before of Alex really just flowing the car around the sweeper through the dog, well, not the dog leg, the flip-flop back into tank up at turn 7 there. He just had this beautiful flowing constant radius run, and have a look at this, the Tigger MG special goes down. There's the 32 that went off earlier in.
TR6 being dragged away.
Now that's the Paul Hogan car. So
back to the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Well, painting the bridge, but that's a shame. We don't like to see the cars stopping on the side of the track like that. The Triumph GT6 just under 2 litre there as well, out of 1968. Have a look at this. This is a battle for the ages as well. The Alfa GTV6, synonymous with Alfa Romeo right through the 70s and 80s, wasn't it? That body shape.
Yeah, for sure. And they're doing a great job further back in the field. The De Tomaso Pantera and your lovely 928 coming up the inside there. Car 3 doing a great job to pick off the 911.
Ross Jackson, who loves to prepare that De Tomaso to win, and at the moment he's doing a fairly good job of it, sitting there in P5. It's Jones and then Tom Walstep in the SC4 category car. Our leader is also the SC4. SC3 is Alex Webster in position number 2. Big thanks and a shout out to Aussie Soils, Cryo Cycle. Well, the move's gone there.
Move's gone.
Nice bit of power down there by James Calvert-Jones.
Yeah, that was a return serve there.
Wasn't
as
it?
he just managed to pick him off on that short little straights between those 2 corners down on the extended part of this track here at Winton Raceway. And look at the track, isn't it in great condition today? You'd want to be out there racing, and these guys are doing exactly that. The old 240Z coming around there.
Very accomplished races. The 240Zs were exceptional in the Mark sports car era, and certainly when they were put onto the dirt tracks and did rallying, they were an exceptional piece of kit. A beautiful little Lotus there. Great to see. I think that's a 47. You'll correct me on that, I'm sure, Phil.
Oh, maybe not. the Lotus Elan that you were looking at.
Yes.
I'm not too sure just what year that is, but they've been around for a long time.
They certainly have. Lotus is, of course, famous for the founder of the company saying the car just has to be engineered to the finish line. What happens after the finish line doesn't matter.
If it falls apart across the finish line, it's all good.
That's exactly right.
Perfect engineering, according to Colin Chapman.
That's exactly right. He did say it more than once too.
Yeah, he did. And of course, the word Lotus got turned many a time into lots of trouble, usually serious.
It did, and I can tell you at this very track with an Elise, the first one that was raced in this country, with none other than 3-time Gold Star winner Paul Stokel at the wheel, that's what we had. Lots of trouble, usually serious, but a fantastic mark of sports car that has stood on the top of many, many podiums around the world in many, many forms of racing. So there's not a Lotus that I wouldn't like to have in my shed, that's for sure.
Meyer still niggling away at the back of the 911. He's not giving up. All over it like a cheap jacket.
It certainly is. The 32 just going through there. That's the 34 going through there. Tony Adtown out of New South Wales. And just watching now for some of the mid-pack cars there, a couple of Alphas. They'll have some double duties here this weekend. A great weekend to travel to Winton if you've got an Alpha race car. You've got the Group S eligibility, and you've also got the Alpha Racing. There's another one of the Corvettes, car number 85 out there as well at the moment. That's Stephanus Conceptitis, the 1971 Stingray type of Corvette.
As you're talking up, he gave the back end of that car a bit of a tweak coming out of turn 3.
Why wouldn't you? 350 Chev, plenty of horsepower on board there, and that's what they're doing. Currently sitting in 18th place. So just looking at the couple of cars there in front, the Alfa Romeo number 86 of John Floyd, GTV Alfetta. And we go back to a plethora of MGs
and all sorts of things further back there. And Rowan Hodges in the Lotus of Land coming up there into turn 1. But Di Batello out in front. He's already lapped the slower cars at the back of the field. Fastest lap time so far for Di Batello is a 1:36.4. The last time around he did a 1:37.5. So he's got the gap and able to maintain it.
Nice work indeed. So hanging on for it there. The number 7 now coming out of turn 3. Alex Webster. And just seeing that blue Corvette disappear off into the distance. Now got a good couple of corners away. 7.5 seconds. The lead. We've just got 45 seconds left on the clock here. So I would suggest we'll come round. Last lap board will come out, and this car has a further lap and a half to continue. You'd have to suggest also, Phil, that if it went just a little bit longer, the Porsches would start to come back to the field. So there's the 911 of Doug Barber.
And did you notice who was in front?
Missed it.
Mr. Meyer was in front. He's got the pass on, so he's picked up a position on the way around.
And that's changing when they come down the straight. So that's that horsepower advantage, isn't it?
Absolutely. And but look at this, the big Chevy of Di Batello heading for the finish line this time around. We're going to have another lap, I think. I don't think we've picked that.
Checkered flag has been
dropped. We're right on that time limit, so by about point something of a second. So that was very close to not having to do another lap.
Certainly was. So let's now watch as this battle continues right throughout the field. The 9, the Porsche Carrera, started this race down the field just a little bit, but just watching Richard East in that 3 litre, the 76 Porsche, and coming out of turn number 10. Starting to work the back part of the new part of the circuit, the 86 in behind. The 86 of John Floyd, which we saw earlier on with the yellow nose cone, which is significant in Alfa racing circles.
Yeah, the Alfa Romeos, beautiful little cars, and known for their handling and stopping in particular. Great little machines.
Well, Jeremy Clarkson of Top Gear fame says everybody has to own an Alfa at some stage to appreciate it. I agree. I came home from hospital in an Alfa. I don't remember it, obviously.
I was going to say after which accident.
So we've had the screen go race finish, and it's now gone green again. So maybe the checkered flag didn't come out. Maybe it's continuing on. Well, this time around it should come out. There is our race leader, and we've ticked off all the boxes. Yes, there is the checkered flag, and it is Bartoli again takes the win. So 2 from 2 races so far in the Group S.
He's notching up the points on this one.
Absolutely is. Alex Webster does a terrific job to bring it home. After leading early, he succumbed to the power race. And did a good job trying to hold it up. Philip John Budge there in the 24 Fiat, just getting home as well. So P3 is the 911 of Barber. Douglas Barber
closely
from New South
followed
Wales.
by Mr. Meyer in that little Austin Healy Sprite.
Didn't they have a great battle? Then it was back to Jackson in the D Tomoso, that yellow beast, Tom Walston. Now, the battle between between Tom, and Tom got home in front of Jones. So the 928 showed a nice set of racing tyres just to beat home the 911 shaped Porsche there. So the Battle of Stuttgart raged all the way to the end between those two.
The Battle of Stuttgart, I like that. That's a good line. I might have to pick that one up a bit.
When you do a bit of Porsche Cup racing, you use that a lot. The 911, 944 races, stuff like that. The Battle of Stuttgart comes alive. Or if they're Carrera Cup cars, it's more about the Battle of Weissach, because they come out of a different factory.
Yep. Because then there's the Bavarian money wasters in the BMWs in the other areas of racing.
I don't mind a BMW myself either. It's something else that you
Great
put in the shed, that's for sure.
Yep, I've had the pleasure of driving a few very nice BMWs over the last few years.
Ryan Koenig gets home in number 50. Brings it in very nicely indeed. Let's round out the top 10 here. So it's Bartolo in the Corvette. Barber being shown in position number 2 on our timing sheets now. Not sure why or what's happened there, but Webster.
Really?
Then we go to Meyer, Wallstep, Jones, Bartley, Harrison, Jackson, Hundu, Hotz, Burson and Ashby rounds out our top 13. And that will be all for the Group S. We will go to Formula Ford after this, Phil. Thank you very much. There's plenty more for you to do throughout the day, so we'll see you back a little bit later on.
Thank you, Darren. It's great to be here.
Formula Ford on track next. Will be joined by Tom Reed, who debuted in the commentary booth yesterday. Did such a good job. Invited himself. No, I invited him back to do more today. He'll be back in just a moment. Group S cars on track now for their final race for the weekend. This is going to be a short, sharp, every corner kind of counts sort of race here this afternoon. The glaring omission at the moment is that we haven't got the Corvette on the track.
Ooh,
so we've got the two Porsches sitting across the front row of the grid, and in fact then we've got them split up by one of the midgets, car number 1, the grey one in this instance, and Tom Wallstep in the Porsche. So this is going to be a very, very interesting one indeed, with the absence of the Corvette not taking 3 from 3, I guess would have been the good money on that one.
And that might help the overall points for our car carrying number 1.
You sort of see how that thing starts to take place, don't you, when you put it like that?
Yep. If you don't finish, you don't. If you don't start, you don't finish. And if you don't do either of those, you don't get the points.
That's exactly right. You can see why some of the lesser capacity cars, I guess the higher lap time cars, start to secure championships. And I've got to say, the race wins are great. They really are. That's good. Fastest laps are good as well. But championships prove that you've had the tenacity to stick at it and be at it for a long time. We've got a big grid. Let's get through them. It is Douglas Barber in the 911. Right alongside is Alex Webster in the number 7. It's also a 911. Damien Mayer, the Victorian, in car number 1, which is the MG Tigger Midget 1310 cc's. Tom Wallstep at the other end of the scale of engine capacity, 4.5 litre in the Porsche 928 out of 1979. Let's see how the Martini liveried 928 gets off the line here with Tom. Back to James Calvert-Jones in car number 40. He's got the Porsche 911 Carrera out of 1976 3 litre car there. Don Bartley in the number 43 in the Austin Healey Sprite. And we go back to Hugh Harrison in the 79, which is the Alpha. And you wouldn't say Harrison without a naming Alpha. You would be in all sorts of stripe. We go back to Hung Du, to Rob Beerson, James Ashby, David Bajan, John Floyd. Quickly now, Adrian Brent, Kent Brown, Timely Hotz, Peter Axford, Peter Kaiser, and away we go. It is Douglas Barber that just moves over and holds that racing line. Everybody's done what they're allowed to do there. No harm, no foul. Play on, blow the whistle, get on with it. And I've got to say that Douglas Barber, he did have to get through here on Alex and also on Tom and also on Calvert-Jones as well, because those other 3 Porsches have proven that they can easily match the lap times of Douglas Barber in the 911.
Yeah, interesting as they peel off the tail enders, working their way down to turn 4, whereas we've got the Porsches out the front already heading into tank.
The Tigger Midget ranging up in the background there as well. Here we go. This is that mid-pack area, car number 9, which is Richard East with John Floyd, David Bajet, Kent Brown in there as well. Here comes some of the cars further back down the field there. The Bug-Eye in the mix there with the GT type of roof on it. The extended roof line on the Bug-Eye Sprite.
Yeah, it's sort of got the fastback.
Yes, absolutely. Here's our Porsches. Doug Barber leading the way.
Just extending it out. But look at that little Sprite. The car with the number 1 on the side.
I tell you what, if you're Alex Webster and you've been contending with that Corvette all weekend long, the number 2 of Joseph Di Bartoli, and all of a sudden you look in your mirror and you've got that midget, I'm thinking, which way is going to worry you even more? I reckon the midget, because it would disappear out of your sight. You wouldn't know if it was left, right, high, low, where it was going to go.
Yeah, exactly. It would be a little bit disconcerting if you were right behind you. You go, oh, I've got to be careful. I don't want to run over the top of him. And maybe that's a part of the ploy,
maybe that's the strategy,
the mental game.
Like the GT40s, 40 inches off the ground. That's how they got the name.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at this. This is a ripping battle with the 98 of Ashby. And that's that beautiful looking GTB 105 type of shape with the number 6 there of Hung Do. And Ashby has come through on Hung Do in the early parts of this race, so made up a spot in the midfield here. GTB type of shape. Alfetta in the background there with the yellow nose cone.
Hung Do having a bit of a look down the inside. That's not going to come off, or is it? He might be trying for an outside down here. Around the gum tree they go. Now he's going to try and put the car down the inside. Not going to be able to pull that one off. If you can get down the inside into that tight corner onto the back straight, you've got a chance. But he wasn't able to pull that off. The Alpha far too smart for that one.
That beautiful 86 GTV Alfetta looks $1 million. Have a look at the D Tomoso now. Nothing short of cubic inches there. The 79 under brakes, just plonks it on the corner there. The Alfa Romeo GTV of Hugh Harrison, and dealing with the D Tomoso, which will be an absolute beast of a machine to wheel around here. Wouldn't mind a bit of a go on a D Tomoso. I've always enjoyed the look of that type of car.
And a great looking car, and he tried for the outside. Wasn't able to pull that off. Got right beside him, but thought better of trying to stay on the outside around turn 1. That wasn't going to work for him. Good way to end up playing out in the kitty litter.
Ross Jackson, the D Tomoso Pantera, 5.8 litres, way outweighing the 2 litre of Hugh Harrison.
Been around here a number of times over the years too, Darren, in that D Tomoso.
So's Hugh Harrison in an Alpha product as well. Many of them over the years. So a couple of very experienced campaigners on the Winton Motor Raceway. Have a look at this up front now. This is 1, 2 and 3 on the road. 2 and 3 are almost interchangeable with each other at the moment.
Well, even 4 and 5 are pretty much in the game.
We've got a aerial surveillance going on over the track at the moment there.
Yeah, a little bit of powered hang gliding going on by the look of it. I'm not sure that he'd be strictly legal at that altitude where he is.
Not my way of enjoying a weekend, that's for sure. Hanging off a parachute like that, but I'll tell you what, this is how I want to spend my weekend. Have a look at that. That's East to Bajet, Brown, Brett and Kaiser, and even Hot's weighing in on the back of this. Talking about Hot, this is it.
Yep.
Hot or not, this one here, the 911. Have we got Alex Webster? Has he got it on board? I would have thought that Alex would have had the pace. He certainly did early on in this weekend. He was able to turn up the volume when he was chasing down the Corvette. At the moment, I would suggest he's looking for just it almost looks like the GoPro on top of the roll cage is all he can see, isn't it?
Pretty much. And Barbara on the last time around, a 1:37.87. That's the fastest lap he's pulled so far for this event. And Webster right behind, a 1:38.17.
Well, they're not. He's not losing the guys behind, is he?
No.
But he's just managed to tick out a good lap there. I'm not sure whether he's overcooked it into turn one, because these two are now monstering all over the back of him. Here comes all the field streaming up the straight here. Again, being led by the number 9 of East. That is the Porsche Carrera. Richard East Carrera 3 litre 1976 unit, and then a plethora of MG and
51
Spitfire.
Brown, and that machine, that beautiful little car of his, well worth going and having a look at. Probably the wrong end of the weekend to try and get down into the pits to have a look, but if you come next year, which you should, make sure that you get down into the pits and have a look around at all of these cars. The drivers, owners and pit crew are usually more than happy to talk to you about their car.
We're looking at East, David Bagent, and then on more to the 51 there. That's Kent Brown, MGB, 1798, the most popular sounding MG. And I reckon any one of us in this room and just about anyone on this property could close their eyes and one of these drive by and you'd know the exhaust note as well.
Yeah, they're
like the Porsche, they're very, very distinct.
It's one on their own, yeah.
The 311 now find some pace.
Yeah.
And there's the checkered flag, and it has been given to Douglas Barber.
Yep.
And then Meyer got through on Alex Webster on the line there.
Well, 1:37.75, the fastest lap for out of anybody on that last lap for Meyer.
Out of 1300cc, so Alex Webster capitulated in the end in the number 7. And I think Alex enjoyed the carrot being dangled in front of him off the back of a Corvette rather than off the back of a fellow Porsche competitor.
Could be.
By the looks of things. Jones, Tom Allstep home in 5th place in that big banger Porsche, the 928 4.5 litre. Got it home. Harrison, and then Ross Jackson brings home the De Tomosa into position 7. 8, Beerson, Ashby, Floyd, East, Brown. Well, this is where the best bit of the race was. East, Brown, Bright and Bagent. I guess the guys in 1, 2, 3 and 4 will argue with me on that one, but certainly we saw a really good part of that race. There's that Martini livery 928.
And really good to see the competitors there, arms out, acknowledging each other and the flag point guys, the volunteers that put in such a huge effort for all of these events. The drivers appreciate those guys with the flags so much.
Well, they are your eyes and ears, and I would suggest that probably during that one there, Alex Webster was looking more to the flaggies to see if there was a blue flag for that particular car number 1, pushing its way through.
He might have been looking to see if there was a meatball flag for the car in front.
Quite possible, hey? Quite possible.
He would have been hoping for it. Not really.
Let's take a quick break, Phil. Thank you very much for all your help on the Group S, J, KLB, Formula V and M Sports and Racing. And with that title, the race is almost over.
It is. And yeah, thanks very much for having me along as a part of the event, Aaron. Been a great event.
VHRR are doing a tremendous job with all their events, and I'm absolutely privileged to be part of it as well, Phil.